The will of God is acceptable. To know God's will, we must first renounce our own. What a key is to a lock, what a light is to the eye, what air is to a bird's wing, the will of God is the life of man. You see what I'm saying? In other words, his will be done. Now, I found out that a lot of his will, it really coincides with my will. God wants me blessed. Now, the church world don't want me blessed. The heathen world don't want me blessed, but the Lord want me blessed because it make him look good. I lost some of you right there, I could tell. That's scriptural. That's in the Bible. He says he get pleasure. Pleasure. Everybody say pleasure. In the prosperity of his servant. God gets blessed when you get blessed. When your children look good, don't you get blessed? When people, boy, if on Easter Sunday your little granddaughter runs down the aisle while Pastor Hagee's preaching and you just grab her real quick and people go, ooh, look at the pretty dress. You go, yes, I bought it. It makes you feel good when people say nice compliments about your children if they look good. Why? You learn that from God. You get pleasure when your child is blessed. God gets pleasure when you're blessed. Why do people have a problem with that? I'll tell you why. Soul poverty. Spirit prosperity. You talk about a fight. You talk about messed up bad. That's the problem in most of the church where their spirit is in prosperity, their soul is in poverty. And boy, the war is going on. But the Bible said, be not conformed, be ye transformed by the renewing of your soul, so you can get it in line with your spirit to understand the will of God. Until a man knows the will of God and proves it in the laboratory of his own experience, he has not begun to live in his true sense. Everything that I prayed for, everything I believed for has also become experienced. I remember this. You see, I believed this when I didn't have nothing. I believed this when I'd go preaching a sermon. I brought Kathy to church one time, and I said, where are we going to sleep? And I'll never forget that. Remember that? They pointed to a Sunday school room and said, on the floor. Kathy said, we're going to sleep on the floor? I said, that's where we're going to sleep, on the floor. She said, we got big roaches. I said, well, stay up all night and fight them boys. You know, let's do what you got to do. But we're going to sleep on the floor. Now, we don't do that today, thank God, because you see, in those days I believed in giving, but I didn't believe in receiving, because I thought if I received something, people might not think well, Jesus didn't have much. You hadn't read the Bible. What you gonna do when you get to heaven? What you gonna do when you get to heaven? And there's a gold street and a mansion waiting on you. You're gonna go, no, Jesus, no, Jesus. No, Jesus. You hadn't been reading the Bible. We're supposed to be poor. He said, you're in the wrong place. Hell's where it's poor. You see my point? What you going to do when you get to heaven? All of a sudden, man, you got diamond, beryl, jasper, onyx, ruby. People say, you shouldn't have it here. Yeah, I like a little bling-bling. I like a little bling-bling. I like a little bling-bling. I enjoy a little bling. Hey, what's wrong with that? Why is that bad? Maybe that's manifestation instead of materialism. Whoa, this is good stuff. See, faith begins where the will of God is known. I know, I'm not believing, ladies and gentlemen, I know the will of God for me. Do you understand? Now, you may not know the will of God for me, but I know the will of God for me. And I'm totally convinced, not arrogant, not egotistical, but confident and assured that what he said I can have, I can have. I read one of your books one time. You said, you're not blessed by chance, you're blessed by choice. That blessed me. He said, I put life in blessing, death in curse. Choose life. Come on, just choose life. No. I'm going to have what God said I could have. And if it makes the world mad, they're going to have to just get glad. I'm going to be as nice as I possibly can, but I understand until a man knows the will of God and proves it in the laboratory of his own experience, he has not begun to live in his true sense. The will of God versus the will of man. What a key is to a lock, what a light is to the eye, what air is to a bird's wing, the will of God is the life of man. Until a man knows the will of God, he has not begun to live in his true sense. So if you're not getting an answer to prayer the way you want it, he's telling you, grow up, you're making that decision, you understand my will, and whatever you decide, I'll back it.
Order your copy of The Will of God versus the Will of Man today.